Hello and welcome. I am Emily Pierce, and this is for Dr. Kelly's Traumatic Events. And today we're going to be talking about wildfires in the Pacific Northwest, specifically wildfires in Idaho. Throughout this course, I did my final project by looking over some case studies and doing some analysis on wildfire management and restoration. And today we're just going to talk about some things that I've learned, and I hope you learned something as well. Every August, smoke pollutes the nation as it sets ablaze. Anyone with eyes and a nose knows what smoke both looks and smells like. Climate change is to blame for the increase of wildfires. On average, the global temperature rises 1 degree Celsius each year, enabling these wildfires. In 2020, we observed a record-breaking fire season, and as these fires continue to grow, it is critical to review strategies, maintain fire response, and manage detrimental fire effects. As people become more cognizant of these effects, it's important to educate the public on these strategies used and how to mitigate effects on communities. Local communities see firsthand how horrible these fires are, and it affects their well-being negatively. And we must help these people find better ways to measure social impact. So, first, what are all these wildfires? Climate change, again, is to blame. Climate change enables these wildfires as temperatures rise. To deal with these fires, we must focus on what we can do now in the present. On average, temperatures have increased 1 degree Celsius since 1960. Climate change affects Idaho and the nation, but specifically Idaho snowpack, leading to a decline in compacted snow. So, what is snowpack? Snowpack is basically when snow falls, it collects in mountains, and over spring it thaws and it creates a water storage. So instead of getting rain constantly throughout the season, we are still getting water through the melting of these snowpacks, and they're like glacier water streams, run into lakes and help keep our forests moist. But with a decline in these snowpacks, we've been observing drier summers. And with these drier summers, we see more fuel, so dry vegetation, adding to growing fires. Fires need 3 things to thrive: oxygen, a spark, and fuel. We already know about fuel and oxygen, but what about the spark? Human activity and natural causes are to blame for this. This spark can be seen as anything from a lightning strike to a lit cigarette butt littered on the ground to an untamed campfire. Landscape recovery. We know that wildfires can be detrimental to communities, but ecosystems are pretty well equipped with dealing with these fires. Fire opens space for new trees and creates habitats for animals and wildlife. We can see this change in 2 to 3 years when new trees begin to sprout and grow and wildlife becomes back to habitat these environments. Negative thing though, smoke pollution from wildfires can affect people negatively with respiratory diseases, so asthma, anything that can inflame the lungs. So, maintaining the fire. A little bit of history. In 1910, the Great Fire, or better known as the Big Blow-Up, affected Idaho and Montana, burning 3 million acres and killing 85 people. This led to officials in forestry to create the first fire management organizations, and federal and state governments worked together in 1924 to establish laws that are still being used in fire protection today. Fire protection and management is necessary, especially with the increase of wildfires, but it can be a costly service. In 2000, the United States Department of Interior and the Forest Service spent $1 billion on fire suppression costs, and in 2017 they spent $3 billion. Annually, though, they usually spend $1 billion in these fire suppression costs. So, specific strategies. The Idaho Comprehensive Strategy for implementing the National Fire Plan is responsible for protecting Idaho's landscapes. In this fire plan, firefighters and organizers respond appropriately by developing location-specific strategies like monitoring and suppressing fire ignitions. Another plan, the National 10-Year Comprehensive Strategy Implementation Plan, works with country and state administration in partnership to complete functions, as seen in prior fire strategies and prior plans. Introducing country and state programs may leave Idahoans wondering which supports their right to private property. Implementing a small organization known as FireWise in McCall, a study found that people were more cautious in local contexts, including social dynamics, relationships with landscapes, and prospects on personal property rights. The community was also frustrated with national responses and cleanup services because they can be pretty slow getting to fallen timber and debris in the way. Education is important. The relationship between organizations and communities can be helped fostered when people know about fire management systems. When people know about these systems in place and what to do in an event of a fire or after a fire, it can facilitate problem solving in communities affected. We can also take proactive measures by being aware how we cause fires and how to prevent them. Anything from smothering a fire when you're out camping, to picking up lit cigarette butts or not littering them in the first place. It's all about being aware and being proactive. So, local communities are affected a lot by wildfires that burn through. Wildfires can be detrimental to these local communities, and people can suffer from home loss, recovery costs, and evacuation, as well as health effects. All of these are negative to people's well-being. But a silver lining, though, in the event of a fire, people will work together in restoring landscapes and tend to people in need. Many will step up to volunteer in these events, anything from helping out and providing people food who have lost their home, providing shelter, or cleanup services and restoring these communities affected. To truly see the effects on these communities, you have to look outside of home loss and evacuation statistics. You can't measure tears shed, and better social impact assessments should be in place. Social impact assessments look at communities affected and people affected by fire to bring statistics and quantitative research to the table. But people can be affected outside of these numbers, specifically to their connection to landscapes. In a study in McCall, Idaho, another one that we've talked about previously, people have a special connection to wildlife and ecosystems next to their home. And when these ecosystems are lost to a fire, people can also experience loss and grieving. This is my reference list. I know it's kind of long. And thank you so much. I hope that you have learned as much as I have and are still interested. Climate change affects wildfires, and as temperatures rise, affected areas will be affected as well. To deal with these wildfires, we must focus on educating the public, reviewing fire management strategies, as well as social impact assessments for traumatic events are dynamic. Thank you. Bye-bye.